Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 15. So Module 15 is the first of two final modules for the class. They will both be open at the same time. However, you may want to go in the module order because there are questions in Module 16 that are about the Module 15 assignments. So usually students will just go in the order that the assignments are listed. However, they are all due. They need to be turned in by the same day, which is the last day for Allen classes. In this case, it's Wednesday, December 10th. Nothing can be submitted after that point because of the way that grades need to be turned in. There is a very small turnaround for grades in this class. So just keep that in mind. Here we have two assignments to be working on. You have a revision assignment and a mindful reading exercise. This is our last mindful reading exercise for the semester. So revision-wise, the purpose of this assignment is to really just think about how revision can work for you and what sorts of things that you should be thinking about in moving forward beyond this class. How can you really dissect your own writing and understand how it works and where your errors are and that kind of thing. So your first task is, I would recommend kind of looking over some of these pages, maybe watch this video. They're not required, but they really will help you with the types of things you should be looking for. The next thing you're going to do is access this assignment. So the revision assignment is asking you to open up a Word document, new Word document, find 15 errors in your essays. These can be essays that I graded, but they could also be just all of your essays. Sometimes if you are having trouble finding stuff, sometimes students have used even assignments where they know that they've made some errors in their sentences. But those typically assignments I don't go through and leave the little line by line comments for. So you're looking for errors that you have made. And these could be, punctuation errors, spelling errors, wording errors, etc. If you don't see a lot of errors, some of you are doing a really good job at probably using some kind of Grammarly or other type of program to proofread your essay. So you may not have as many issues with grammar. In that case, we're going beyond that and you are looking for sentences that could be reworded for clarity or effectiveness, even a sentence where you didn't really like how you wrote it to begin with, but you just kind of left it in there because you couldn't think of a better idea at the time. Those are the types of sentences that we want. So overall, we're just looking to improve your writing. So any sentence you can pull out to correct or to rewrite so that it's better, that's what we're looking for. So your first thing you're going to do is pull out all of those examples. So I have an example in here which apparently is not working, and it'll pull up, hang on, let me fix this. Okay, I have the example fixed. So you should be able to see it there. It'll pull up a document that looks like this. So the example just shows a couple of different options for what you might pick to display. The first thing you want to remember is that you need to number them because you want to make sure you have 15 and you don't want to accidentally lose points because you couldn't count or something. So number your corrections. You write out the original or copy paste the original. You correct it. So, or a new version. If there wasn't anything really wrong with the original, you just wanted to word it so that it sounded better, then that's also what you would do there. So you would write the new version of the sentence and then you would explain what happened. So in this case, this example here is an error. There was a comma splice and I corrected it. In this case, for this example here, it affected the entire essay. So if I wrote my narrative essay out of order, then I would just explain what I should have done. Now, I don't need to copy and paste all of the paragraphs into this document. I'm just going to say that this affected the entire essay and I should have rearranged the paragraphs. So the point of this assignment is so that you are acknowledging the issues that it had and how it could have been corrected. Same thing here. This is more of a wording thing, so use of second person. So that is, you would put that in there as just a wording change. It doesn't necessarily have to have broken a specific rule or something like that. So just keep that in mind. That is what you're doing here. You do not need to make changes to your essays, okay? You do not need to upload your new essays or anything like that. All you're doing is putting in a document 15 sentences from your writing that you have corrected. Now, if you turned in a bunch of essays late, or you didn't turn in any essays or something like that, then there are some exercises that you can use the sentences from, and some students just like these because they're practice, so that's perfectly acceptable as well. The other assignment in this module is to do your last mindful reading. And to do this, you're going to start with, we're going to be practicing journal or using a reading journal or journal writing about your readings. And so when you go to the textbook, there's a section in chapter 3 that talks about further strategies. So you want to read that first. And then this prompt comes from page 26. And these are the questions that you're going to ask yourself after you do a reading. So you're going to pick an article. It needs to be an actual article. Some of you are using like the chapters from the book, which don't quite work the same way. I kind of get where you're going with it, but you actually need to pick a reading to do rather than, a chapter textbook. So if you go in here, you can see part 2 readings. There are a whole bunch of articles. There's even some like poetry and stuff. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for is, you picked, this was originally from the New York. It's titled Mothers Anonymous by Emily Nussbaum. So, that's what I'm looking for is you're using those articles. And then there's a bunch of different articles about different topics, so you can kind of pick one that really interests you, or you can just go out onto, the New York Times or something, or PBS, NPR, and just look for a news article, which is fine. So then you're going to answer the questions about the reading. Make sure that you do include, if you got it on the web, you include the URL or the author title, that kind of thing, so I can see which one you used, and then answer the 8 questions about them in sort of a journal style. So you're just going to reflect, 1-page double-spaced ideas. You should try to answer each question. Some questions may have more of an answer than another, and some of them can kind of be answered together, which is fine. So like if you had to ignore part of the strategy's limits, then you might combine that together as with these other 2 questions about, so if you were skimming, obviously you're going to miss some information. And so you may have to abandon your initial strategy because skimming is not giving you enough information and you're getting lost or something like that. And so, what does this tell you about your strategy, that kind of thing. So you're just reflecting on your reading strategy. What did you use? Go back to the chapter to look at it. And then how well did that help you understand what was going on in the reading? What could you have done differently? That kind of thing as you go through it. And just thinking about all of those reading skills that we've learned so far this semester. This is the mastery outcome. So basically what that means is we want to make sure that you are mastering this reading outcome. If you can't do this assignment, then you have not mastered that outcome for the class. If you have any questions as you go through this module, feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.